Hey ladies, we are so glad that you are here. I just wanted to take a second, introduce myself, and share my personal just story and really just testimony and how the Lord has used coaching in my life just to be the biggest, most unexpected blessing that I could have ever received. So my name is Shea. For those of you who do not know who I am, I actually work full-time as a physical therapist in the hospital, in my local hospital. I'm actually our primary ICU therapist, which is really fun and cool. And then I have been coaching for right at 2.5 years now, which is so cool. I'm from an area or a small town in North Mississippi, if anyone is from that area. I live here with my husband. We have been married for 3 years, and we are expecting our first little one. We have a boy coming in February, so it has been a exciting, crazy, busy, humbling season nonetheless. But just to keep it short and simple and honestly share my story in my heart, I have always really enjoyed health and fitness. I have stayed active the majority of my life. I know that's not everyone's story, but I was really involved with sports in high school. I cheered my first few years of college and just really enjoyed staying active and healthy. However, I have not always had a healthy relationship with that. But I was first introduced to just these programs. If you've ever heard of Insanity or Shea, one of the older programs in Beachbody, my basketball coach actually made us do this program after a 2-hour basketball practice the summer before my senior year. So that is how I was introduced to just Beachbody in general. At the time, I had no idea that it was like Beachbody. I just knew I was doing this program called Insanity by Shea after a 2-hour summer basketball practice in the southern heat. So that is your definition of insane. But all that to say, I honestly kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge, and when I graduated and went off to college, even though I was cheering, I still wanted to do something that really helped me stay fit and active. I needed something that I could enjoy because I couldn't always go to the gym. Just my schedule was crazy. And so it was nice to have something that I could pull out in my dorm room. I could do at home. We lived out in the middle of nowhere at the time. So I wasn't going, I would go run, but I wasn't driving to a gym or doing things like that. So I needed something I could just press play with at home in my parents' living room. And so I actually got online. At that time, Beachbody programs were videos. You had to purchase each individual program in video. Now it is all together. Beachbody has come a long way since I started 12 years ago. But anyways, all that to say, at that time you had to buy videos. So I kind of followed, I kind of learned about Shea a little bit. I got online, I ordered Insanity. He came out with Insanity Asylum, Asylum 2. If you're Shea fans, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, that's okay. But he came out with 3 or 4 programs, and I literally would just get online and order them every time. And I utilized those programs all throughout college. And it was just super helpful to help me stay active. I would take him to the gym at times. It wasn't always something I did in my apartment or dorm room. But that's kind of how I got into just utilizing these programs and really loving them. I ended up figuring out that it was associated with Beachbody, and during physical therapy school, I got online, and at that point, it was all on this one platform online, kind of like a Netflix of workouts. So I purchased the yearly subscription, had access to all the workouts. We're no longer having to do the individual, or purchase the individual videos, which is awesome because I paid one time for that one program what I paid one time for over 2,000 workouts. But anyways, all that to say, somewhere along that process, I came across my coach on Instagram. And I really just admired the way that she shared life, and that most importantly, everything pointed back to the Lord. And one day I was watching her, and I was watching her workout that she posted, and I was like, I did that I did those moves this morning. And so I put 2 and 2 together, realized she was doing Beachbody programs, and realized there was a thing called coaching, and there was a community in this Beachbody world that I honestly didn't know about because I had done this process and journey on my own for so long. But I started to follow along, and honestly, it really started to shift my perspective because I saw this girl showing up in her health and fitness journey, showing up in her marriage, showing up in her full-time job, I kind of followed along, having her first child, showing up in that season, and realized that like there's so much more to this journey than just looking a certain way, weighing a certain amount, following this specific strict diet to a T. Like, that's not what this is about. And she was literally sharing her faith in the Lord in every single detail. And honestly, it started to shift my perspective. Because to be honest, when you cheer in college, depending on what program you're a part of, it can just be really focused on, how do I say this? On the way you look. And, it's one of those things, I got into a really unhealthy relationship with fitness, with nutrition, because I was more worried about looking a certain way, because we had this image test we had to pass for tryouts, like just crazy things. And it really warped my view of health and fitness. But as I started to follow along and grow in my own walk with the Lord kind of used the two to shift my perspective, to shift my mindset, to show me that, this journey is so much more, and that we can have a kingdom mindset, and that we can surrender this to the Lord and find joy in it, and find something that's doable and sustainable, and that, changes with us in our seasons, but more importantly, do something that is truly fun. Because at the end of the day, this journey is not about the way we look, how much we weigh, the size clothing we wear, even though we do celebrate those things sometimes because, they're fun to celebrate, right? But that's not what it's about. That's not what it's centered about. It's centered around Christ. It's centered around our bodies being the temple of His Holy Spirit and learning what it looks like to surrender that to Him, to live a healthy and active lifestyle, not for worldly purposes, but ultimately so we can go and be His hands and feet and be His vessel and just shine a light in this dark world around us. And it was such a freeing thing when I finally realized that, and realized that this was a joy. It is a joy to steer my body well, but also take the pressure off and realize that it's going to look different for everyone. It's going to look different for different people in different seasons. It's not about restriction. It's truly about creating those healthy habits, moving our body consistently, whatever that looks like for us. For some people, it might be 2 days of walking. For some people, it might be 6 days doing a intense workout program. Like, it looks so different, but as long as we are showing up, stewarding our bodies well, and surrendering this area to the Lord, there's joy in it. There's purpose in it, and we're going to be able to go and do the things He calls us to so much better. And so, all that to say, it just really shifted my perspective. And I followed along for like 4 years, okay? 4 years, y'all. But at the time, I was going through grad school. My last semester, I was finishing my last clinical, studying for a board exam, planning a wedding. So I got married 2 weeks after I graduated PT school, applying for jobs, trying to find a house. Like, it was just a crazy season of life. And even though in my heart, I was like, I really think I could do something like this, I put it off. And finally, after that season kind of passed, I was married, had a house, had a job. I told my husband one day, I was like, I really want to try to pursue coaching. I've never been one to be on social media. I was one of those like holiday posters. I posted special events and holidays. That is it. I didn't know how to make an Instagram story. My husband had to show me for the first time. I've always been this quiet, honestly insecure, not saying every quiet person's insecure, but I was quiet. I was insecure in who I was in Christ. I was worried about what people would think. I honestly was like, I don't even have the time to do something like this, even though I could watch Netflix every single night, but that's a whole nother story. I just gave myself every excuse. And at the end of the day, I've never been this bold person to be courageous and share, especially when it came to my faith. And I honestly just felt unequipped. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not that person. I don't know how to write posts that are encouraging. I don't know how to make an Instagram story, so I can't share. But the Lord kept working in me. The Lord kept nudging at my heart. So I continued to pray about it. I continued to talk to my husband about it. And he just encouraged me, like, if this is something the Lord is calling you to do, you got to lay those fears aside, and you got to trust that He's going to equip you for the work that He's calling you to. And so I finally reached out. I finally did the thing and said yes to coaching. But that's only the beginning of my story. What I love the most about coaching is the Lord has used it to completely transform who I am. He's used this community to just help me grow personally, help me grow in my marriage. It's just been the most amazing gift. A few months after I said yes to coaching, I entered a very difficult season of life that I had no idea was coming. And through that, it kind of took away some things in my life as far as how I was serving at the time. It took away some community. It was just a really hard season, and the Lord really used it to refine me. But what I love is I look back, and the Lord saw that season coming, even though I didn't. But I took that step of obedience with coaching, and through coaching, He gave me a different way to serve and love people, because that's something I love. I love to do that. And even though one thing was taken away because of a hard situation that I faced, He replaced it with something beautiful. He gave me a community in coaching that turned into the most impactful community in my life. I had a few women on this team that I got very vulnerable with and shared what was going on, even though most people had no idea. And y'all, it was beautiful. It was so cool to have women who didn't just validate my feelings or say, yeah, that stinks, I'm sorry, and give me all this worldly advice. No, they pointed me to the Lord. They pointed me to truth, even when it was hard. They encouraged me to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep pursuing the Lord, and trust that His plans were good in this really hard and messy situation. And it's so crazy. Like, this was all because I jumped into coaching, and it's just cool to see the Lord's faithfulness in it. And, you know, a whole year later, that season, by God's grace and love and just redemptive power, has passed, and it is beautiful nonetheless, and it's a testimony I get to share. But it's so cool to look back and see how this coaching community made such an impact in my life, and that's why I'm here. Because if someone can encourage me like these women encouraged me, if someone can come into this community and grow in their walk of Christ above anything else, but also grow in the boldness and courage that He has called us to walk in, and help them transform as a person, like, it is so, so worth it. And so here I am, 2.5 years later, somewhere I never thought I would be, but the Lord has completely used it to transform me. And y'all, this community is everything. We just got back from our Diamond Retreat as I'm posting this video at the time, and it was awesome because I didn't just go by myself. I went with my husband, and we got to grow together, and it's just really cool to see. Yes, I gained community, but the guys there, like, y'all, they talk in text messages. They hang out. Like, it was just a really cool, close-knit community, not just of women, but of women and their spouses who are ultimately pursuing Christ, pursuing each other, and pursuing this business God's way. And what an amazing opportunity to step in something secular, to step into the secular Beachbody world that can be very dark at times, because the health and fitness world, it can be dark. But we get to jump in. We get to step in as believers, and we get to shine a light. We get to share our stories boldly. We get to just, share our mess, share what's going on in our life, but just use it to encourage and bring hope, and ultimately just help women find freedom in their health and fitness journey. Because, y'all, there is nothing like surrendering this area of your life to the Lord and growing in Him first. You'll see it transform every area of our life, and that is what we do. That is our heart behind coaching. I could literally give you all the hesitations if you want to list them, because I had them. If you know me personally, you know that 2.5 years ago, I'm not the same person, and that is the Lord's work in me and through me, but that is something that He just really, He used to bring transformation through this community and through this coaching opportunity, and that is why I'm here. I have some really cool dreams and goals in this business, to come home and be more present for my family, be able to support my family financially, being at home instead of full-time in the hospital. And I don't know where the Lord leads, but it's really cool to just take a step back and see all He's done and realize, hey, that's something that can happen. In a year or two, I might be home with my kiddos, with my baby boy, and Lord willing, another one, if, whatever that time frame may be. And I can be present, and I can serve my home, and I can serve my husband, I can serve more within our church and give more. Like, that's just a dream that I have with coaching, and I never imagined it would be possible, but it so has been. And it takes hard work. It's all about what you put into it, your willingness, but at the end of the day, it is the biggest blessing. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm going to cut this short so I don't over talk y'all, but all that to say, I'm so grateful. I said yes to coaching, and I'm just so grateful for how the Lord has used it and how He will continue to use it. And I pray that, if nothing else, that this encouraged you just to be bold and go where the Lord leads. So that's a little bit about me.